Hi, if you are a woman of purpose and you know that you are here to make an impact in the world, to share your gifts, or you're here to be the highest version of yourself, but you feel sometimes that there's something fundamentally wrong with you, and that feeling gets in the way of doing what you're here to do or being who you're here to be. If that's you, you're in the right place. I'm going to give you some examples of what this looks like in your everyday life. We'll talk about the identities that are driving that, and then I'll guide you through a short somatic practice at the end. All right, welcome to the Self Healing School. I am your host and mentor, Essence Turner, and here I help women, purpose driven women, release emotional blocks. So, again, that you can do what you're here to do or be who you're here to be. And it's easiest to do that when we are in our body, connected to ourselves, and we are just living from our soul and following our inner guidance. And when we experience these emotional blocks and wounds that are coming up in our lives, they distract us from the bigger mission. And I'm here to help you get back on track. All right, so again, we're talking about when you have this feeling that, like, at your core, there's something wrong with you. And so, what this may look like in your everyday life is maybe you're unsure of who you are. And when you're with this friend group, you transform into who they want you to be. When you're at work, you transform into who they want you to be. It's really hard for you to feel good in just who you authentically are. So, you're almost like a chameleon in different environments. Or maybe you don't feel like you're important or that you matter. And so, even when you're going through something, you may minimize that and you're still just taking care of everybody else. You don't really talk about your own pain, you're just helping everyone else with theirs. This can also look like shrinking or holding back out of fear of being too much. You may believe that you're unworthy of love or healthy relationships. This could look like you staying in relationships longer because you may feel like that's all that you can get or that's all that you deserve. You may even be a high achiever, but whatever you achieve, it's never enough and it's always going after the next thing and the next thing, and nothing just ever makes you feel enough and complete internally. And then this could also be where you just feel like silently feel damaged in a way that you think other people don't. So I want to tell you that that was me. Like, I felt damaged in a way that, like, I thought it was just me. And I remember, so years ago, I used to make my own jewelry, and I was just making I was making jewelry and I was selling it, and then my friend was like, this particular set of earrings I was making, she was like, this ought to be a jewelry line. Like, what should you call it? You should call it something that, like, identifies with you. And I was like, damaged goods. And like, that's how I felt. But we was like, damn, that's dope. Like, that was a dope name. But I remember, like, yeah, it's dope, but also, like, I really feel like damaged good. Like, I'm good, but I'm also too damaged for anybody to really want. And I remember that feeling very vividly. And so when we feel that there's just something wrong with us at our core, it's actually what comes from that is usually we call them core wounds, but I like to call them felt identities because it just feels true, like who you truly are. And so some of these felt identities are like, I'm broken, I'm unlovable, I'm a mistake, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough. So when we live from these felt identities, then we attract different situations and people into our lives based on that felt identity. So for me, my core felt identity was I'm unlovable. And so for years I attracted unhealthy relationships because I felt unlovable. Now, if you would have asked me, Essence, do you feel unlovable? I don't think I would have said, yeah, it's possible, but it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I didn't really know that until I started doing this work and like was reflecting back, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I felt so unlovable and just unwanted." And when I realized that truth and felt the heaviness of it, I didn't think I would ever, get off from under it. It's like, if this just feels true, like this is, I'm just unlovable, then like, how do you get rid of something that's true? And that may be where you are now, but the good news is that it's not true. It just feels true. So I'm going to tell you the way that I see these felt identities. So felt identities are actually imprints on the body. They're beliefs that you have believed for so long that it imprinted, like left an indentation in your muscles, in your tissues, in your cellular memory. And it's so ingrained and grooved in, and that is why it feels true. Also, there may have been things reflected back to you in your life that makes you feel like it's true. So if you have a felt identity of I'm not important, and then mom kept missing your recitals, then that's going to enforce that belief and make you think that it's true. Okay? And so we have these situations with our caregivers or just people at a young age, and these situations that happen, we make it mean that I'm not lovable, that I'm unworthy, that I'm not deserving, that I'm broken. We make it mean those things, but it never meant those things. So for me, my unlovable came from my dad not being in my life growing up. So I carried an abandonment wound for a long time that I've healed through. And so every time that I would see my cousin with her dad, they had a beautiful relationship still to this day, and he was really good to me too. But whenever I would see them together, that enforced this belief I must be unlovable if my dad must not, if my dad isn't in my life. So that's what child essence made my dad not being in my life. It made it about me. I made it mean that I'm unlovable, which at the core is not true. Even if a parent keeps missing their child's recital, that doesn't mean that you're unimportant or that you don't matter. Even if somebody treated you that way, that's not the truth of who you are. The truth of who we are is the same as like if when a baby is born, even if her parents left her, does that mean she's unlovable? No, you would pick that baby up and love it and tell it all the beautiful things. But that's what we have to do for ourselves because we're still that baby. That essence, that purity of that newborn is still in you no matter what you have done, good or bad or ugly. The core truth of who you are is love and purity and innocence. And so what we have to do is remove all the layers on top of that truth of your true core being love, purity, and innocence. So again, every time something happened in your life, let's just say me, a man leaving, that reinforced that groove of I'm not lovable. And so that is how those felt identities just kind of they feel very true because life once they get a good groove in there and you start believing it and seeing and thinking that that's who you are and you live from that energy, and then life is just going to give you more of that, like more boyfriends coming in just showing me that I'm unlovable because That's my truth. That's what I think is my truth. I'm living that as and believing that, so I get more of that back in return. So I just want you to understand that no matter which of these felt identities may be true for you, it's not true at all. It feels true, but it's an absolute lie. Okay? It's just that when we were young, we don't know how to make sense of things. I couldn't say, well, my dad left because his dad didn't raise him and he didn't know how to be a dad. He felt like he was too young to be a dad. And so he ran. He was scared and he ran. What child is really going to say that? Even if my mom might have told me that, she didn't, but I'm just saying, a child still can't conceptualize that. It's still somehow going to come back to, but if he loved me enough, then he would be here. If I was lovable enough, he would have stayed. It's still going to come back because that's just children are very me centered. And so when we were children, we took on these ideas, and then they've just been living within us, just these weeds, these lies, just growing and feeling more and more true until you come to a point where you start to question it. And so that was the case with me when I got on my spiritual journey and started doing the work. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this is the child me came up with this, and it's just not true. I don't want to believe this anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And so I went on a very deep forgiveness journey to forgive my father, to start to release a lot of the anger and the resentment that was there, because all that is infused within that felt identity too. Like there's so much in there. And so I just started doing the work on my dad, doing the work on myself, doing mirror work, the affirmations, all of it, to get that out of my body so that I can take on the truth, which is I am lovable. I am worthy and deserving of love. And then once I got to that place, first forgiving my dad, like real true forgiveness, true self-love. 6 months later, I attracted a loving, beautiful relationship, and we're still together almost 12 years later. So I can tell you, when you release that felt identity and embrace a new identity, then things shift and they can happen really quickly. All right, so happy to share all that. It feels so good to just share that with you and to just let you know that although it feels like this is just who you are, it's not. Okay. So I will say this. So I'm going to talk to you about the somatic part. Somatic just means body. When we feel things, like I talk about those felt identities, is because we feel it to be true in our bodies. So just trying to make the change mentally doesn't dig deep enough into the cellular memory, because what you feel in your body, you don't feel it in your mind. So a somatic practice is just something to help you get into the body. So I'm going to just take you through what I call willingness tapping. So, you may know EFT, emotional freedom technique, where you're tapping on the different meridians. A lot of times I just will like tap on the collarbone or the heart area. I believe a lot of our problems actually have to do with what we're holding in our heart. And so what people mainly like to do is you want to just jump into the EFT and like, let's clear it and release it. And I am all for clearing and releasing. That is my jam. But first and foremost, you need to be with it. You need to be willing to be with the wound, be with whatever is going on in your life or your body, be with it without trying to change it, because you're still just reinforcing, almost like, I need to hurry up and get over this. I need to quickly not feel like this. And I see that as being dismissive to the inner child, being dismissive to what all that the inner child is still holding. That's what we're feeling in the body. So first, we need to just learn to be with it and hold it just as it is. And then you can go on to doing whatever the healing and clearing work is. So that's one of the things I like to first do with my clients is we just need to learn to just be. And then, we can, dig deeper into the healing. So that's what we're going to do today. And you can just take this and keep doing this just for a little bit. So I just want you to close your eyes if that feels good and just start tapping on your heart. And then we're going to take a deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in and exhale. And I just want you to imagine saying to the little girl inside of you, I know that you feel like something is wrong with you. And I honor how you feel. You have every right to feel the way that you feel. And I'm sorry for what happened to you. I'm sorry for the things that made you feel this way. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And I want you to just now wrap your arms like you're hugging yourself and just like you're hugging and holding the child and caressing. Even though you feel like something's wrong with you, I'm willing to see how perfect you are. And even if I don't believe that's true yet, I'm willing to do the work to see your perfection, to see your love, to see your innocence and purity. I know it's there. And I'm going to do the work for us to feel it and know it. Because you are worthy of it. I am worthy of it. We are worthy of feeling lovable, good, worthy, and deserving, and enough. We are worth feeling all of this. And I'm going to make sure that we do. And just hold yourself and take a deep breath in and exhale. Gentle rocking side to side. Deep breath in and exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I hope that was good for you as it was for me. It felt so nurturing. I would love to know how this experience was for you or what I may have shared that resonated, or if you have any questions. I think I will also do some beliefs on each of the felt a video on each of the felt identities. It's just to bring more healing and presence into your body. And so let me know if you like that idea. What is your core wound or felt identity? If you don't want to share it here, you can find me on Instagram at EssenceTurner_ and send me a message. But if you're ready to do the deep work, then I would love to have you on a consult call where we can talk about what your experience is like. Like, what is your purpose? What are you here to do? What are the things that are in the way? What parts of your past are holding you back? And then we'll put together a plan for you, and then we'll talk about what working together looks like. Also, you can join me over at theselfhealingschool.com. That's where my blog is. And also, you can go there. There's the services tab there where you can schedule your consults. And if this video served you, please like and subscribe. It's been a pleasure chatting and healing with you today. And I will see you in the next video.